Leo, you making too much noise. You making too much noise. Go lay down somewhere. Hey y'all, it's me Sydney. Welcome back to Planet Sid. Today's topic, we're going to be discussing flex culture in high fashion and aesthetics in general. So if you guys are interested in that, then stay tuned. So before y'all watch this video, I want y'all to watch my video that I did a few months ago on Balenciaga and the aesthetics of poverty. I would like to think of this video as kind of like a part 2 because bitch, I fucking called it. But just to do a quick rundown of that video, I basically just talked about Balenciaga's formation and how they came about and their journey up until present day, and how the current creative director, ᴃᵜᵏ, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, took over, and that's where we've been getting like most of the notable Balenciaga garments and pieces that have kind of been pop culture talking points in a way. But before we get into it, I want to define what flex culture is. Urban Dictionary would define flex culture as the behavior of deliberately showing off your personal belongings in the goal of giving yourself higher value in front of other people. And the idea of flex culture and just flexing in general is nothing new. It's been around for ages, especially if you just open up the Instagram app and go to your favorite influencer or one of the Kardashians. You can see people posing in front of their Ferraris, or people giving closet tours, or the luxury haul. And since it's nothing new, even centuries ago, if you were considered affluent and wealthy, then you weren't shy about it. But as of recently, especially in the age of social media, there are a lot of creators who have built their platforms off of flexing and just being known as being rich and wealthy. But I want to get into the psychology behind flex culture. Like, why do people feel the need to show complete strangers and other people that they can afford a certain item, or that they can afford a certain experience, or what their lifestyle is? And sometimes it is just as simple as wanting to show off your accomplishments, especially if you come from a lower socioeconomic background, or if maybe if you built a business and you're able to afford certain luxuries, or a house or a car or something. Like, maybe that's something that you want to show off in the name of giving people inspiration, I guess. But in my opinion, there is a certain level of value and worthiness that other people attach to accumulating certain things. Because when you do own a Ferrari, or when you do have a closet full of 15 Birkin bags or something, you do get that immediate validation. And what I mean by this is, if somebody were to post a closet tour of them having 1,000,001 Birkin bags, everything from the Gucci store, and I don't know, Rick Owens and shit, what are they doing? Just want to shoot a video. You will almost always get hundreds of thousands and even 1,000,000 likes if you were to post a closet tour of you owning all these expensive bags and exclusive items. Like, you will almost always accumulate a fan base and followers who find interest in what you possess. And even sometimes as you're posting these luxuries that you own, you're in a way kind of gaining this superiority complex, knowing that you have exclusive access to certain things that most people, specifically your followers, most likely don't. But there's this thing called conspicuous consumption, which Investopedia defines as, quote, purchasing goods or services with the specific purpose of displaying one's wealth, especially when publicly displayed goods and services are too expensive for other members of a person's class, unquote. And I feel like the idea of conspicuous consumption is so interesting because, in my opinion, it's linked directly to one's self-esteem and how they want others to perceive them, all in the name of external validation. And I don't want to condemn anyone, because I feel like to some degree, especially if you're active on social media, we all engage in conspicuous consumption. However, I do feel that it is dangerous when your self-expression is dependent on how you want others to perceive you. And I say this because I feel like the ability to express oneself authentically is one of the greatest joys of life, in my opinion. So when you're constantly adjusting how you choose to express yourself based on what's trendy and what's popular and aesthetics, for example, then you're in a way robbing yourself. In my opinion, I feel like that kind of already lowers your already low self-esteem. And I saw in a research that was done on the link between conspicuous consumption and self-esteem. And so they found that self-esteem is highly relevant to perceptions of social self and social confidence. Self-esteem reflects one's social status as well as social inclusion. Indeed, low self-esteem is associated with the sense of feeling socially excluded, as well as perceiving low status. Accordingly, those with low self-esteem place great importance on extrinsic aspirations regarding one's image, popularity, and wealth, and are highly concerned with their self-presentation in social contexts. As a result, extant literature shows the negative relationship between self-esteem and conspicuous consumption. When people are socially excluded from the close relationship, i.e. friends, they experience weakened self-esteem, which in turn makes them prefer conspicuous consumption. Those with low self-esteem prefer brands such as luxury brands that can signal high social status in order to ensure their group inclusion in the future, even when they experience a sense of belonging. Also, among people with low income who tend to have low global self-esteem, their consumption decisions are driven by motives to signal status. When people are ignored, they prefer conspicuous logos of high-end clothing brand more. Those with covert narcissism have fragile self-perception and thus seek luxury brands to compensate their low self-esteem and to earn social approval. Together, previous research suggests self-esteem is related to conspicuous consumption in a compensatory manner. And then they further elaborate, saying that since social self-esteem is most relevant to one's self-image in public and social inclusion, a low level of social self-esteem will be closely related to high social class compensatory reactions to gain their positive self-worth in the eyes of others. Indeed, previous research has shown conspicuous consumption can be adopted as a means to support and express their social standing, since behaviors signaling social power and status can increase self-esteem. Conspicuous consumption can signal social power and status. This can be viewed as a means to restore self-esteem. For example, using products that carry a visible logo of a luxury brand is used to signal one's dominance and to compensate a sense of low social power. Also, when social inclusion is high, one with a low level of self-esteem exhibits high attachment towards brands that signal high status, as signaling with such brands that may facilitate social inclusion with one's valued social group. Similarly, when high social class individuals have a low level of social self-esteem, conspicuous consumption, such as buying luxury brands, may be viewed as a viable means to obtain one's social acceptance and respect from others. When people perceive a lack of social influence, they tend to prefer status signaling products such as luxury products and products carrying large brand logos. Thus, we predict that the negative relationship between social self-esteem and conspicuous consumption would be pronounced among individuals who perceive to be in a high social class. And I just thought that that study was so interesting because honestly, I feel like if you dive into it deeper and just looking at somebody who constantly only posts what they possess, especially if it's signaling that they can afford things that people from a higher socioeconomic background can, it kind of screams that you need external validation and that you have low self-esteem because the only value that you attach to yourself is through the things that you possess. So it's kind of like a catch-22 once you get stuck in that cycle of holding yourself to the expectation, but then also expressing yourself to the expectation of what others perceive to be cool. But then it's like, can you really blame these people? Because a lot of the times, especially in the society that we live in today, if you are perceived as socially superior, then your life is considerably easier. But I don't want to do too much defending anybody who engages in flex culture, especially if you're uber wealthy. Like, it's not my job to do that. But I do want to point out that even if you do attract a huge following from engaging in flex culture and showing other people what you own, you're not in a way really gaining supporters. Like, you're only gaining fans because they like you only for what you possess. And even if you are climbing up the social hierarchy due to flexing on other people, the people that you meet along the way as well, I feel like it's hard to form a genuine connection with another person when they only like you based on what you possess, and if that's the only way that you show that you are of value as well. But enough talking about that, because I honestly want to talk about these high fashion brands and conspicuous consumption, because I believe that they know what they are doing as far as these designs and the market that they are catering to as far as flex culture. Just to be clear, flex culture can be applied to literally anything. It can be applied to lifestyle, traveling, experiences, but in this video, we're specifically talking about fashion. And I want to circle back to my previous point of like when people wear things like a tracksuit or just a suit that is just monogrammed in a high fashion logo, or just something with a very big logo, or if you're wearing like a Supreme jacket and it's just Supreme all over, something like that. Like, I always wonder if the designers who are making these garments, if they genuinely think that this is cute. Of course, fashion and what other people find pretty and what other people find fashionable, it's all relative, but I just feel like if you're looking at like a Supreme hoodie, for example, it is just a logo all over that, or even like a Gucci tracksuit or something, I don't feel like people are genuinely looking at it and thinking like, oh my god, this is cute. Like, a good chunk of the people that are buying things that look like that, as far as items that are very ostentatious in their design and the fact that they're made by a luxury brand, I feel like a good chunk of those people are buying it because it looks like that and not because they actually think it's cute, if that makes sense. And I feel like these brands know it. And I'm only saying this because I feel like lazy designing and flex culture go hand in hand. And specifically, I'm referring to high fashion luxury brands, but this can be applied to any brand. Some examples of what I mean by lazy designing would be, in my opinion, this is my opinion, the IKEA bag from Balenciaga, or the trainers that they have literally look like a pair of Asics, but it just says Balenciaga on it, or the Crocs that they have that are with heels, or even the recent collaboration that they did with Adidas. Adidas just has like a normal bodycon dress that they sell for about $45, but then the Balenciaga version is literally like almost identical. It has some slight differences. I'm going to assume that since it's a luxury brand, I'm going to give them that maybe they use higher end materials as far as making it, but at the end of the day, it's just a plain bodycon black dress with the Balenciaga and Adidas logo, and the Adidas original is $45. However, the Balenciaga one, I believe, is almost like around $1,500. You're essentially taking their exact same silhouettes and designs and using your better materials, and then you're just slapping your logo on it and then selling it for 10 or 15 times the price. And in Demna's defense, he does say like a part of his designing, he does like to elevate everyday items, so that's how we did get the leather IKEA bag that was like $2,400. So he does like to take average everyday designs and silhouettes and make them high fashion. And I also understand that this conversation can be a slippery slope because fashion, in my opinion, is a form of art, and art is relative and subjective to whatever somebody else thinks is pretty and beautiful. And fashion is a form of expression for the designer and whoever is wearing the designs as well. And so sometimes you're trying to express a message or a feeling, or you could just be designing and making fashion just for the sake of making fashion. I just find it hard to believe that Demna is making look-alike Asics and Crocs with the heel because he genuinely thinks that this is high fashion. In my opinion, I feel like he's making these designs because he knows that if he makes it, no matter what it is, there will always be somebody there to buy it, because people are so thirsty to prove that they are valuable and of worth through these high-end luxury brands. But then it's like, dang, like now that I say that out loud, is it lazy designing because in a sense like you're creating pieces and you're designing things knowing that whatever you put out people will buy just because it's you, so you're not really putting any intention into whatever you're creating? Or is it in the sense of I am intentionally creating and designing pieces with the intention to start a conversation about fashion and the lack of authenticity and expression due to flex culture and due to the fact that I'm Balenciaga and people will buy it, or whatever high fashion brand you want to insert? And I just want to see how far I can go with this until we actually have a discourse about fashion and flex culture and social media and self-expression and authenticity. I don't know. So I guess my question is there actual meaning behind the art and the fashion that Balenciaga and other high-end fashion brands are producing, or is it just a cash grab because they know that people will buy their designs no matter what they are, so they're just slacking on the things that they are producing because they know that there will always be a consumer there? Like, do they want to confront these social issues, and are they trying to start a conversation, or is it just about money? Or another perspective could be, are they genuinely designing garments that they think are nice because fashion is art and beauty is relative to whoever is the consumer and the designer as well? So are they just making things that they genuinely believe are nice and of high quality and that are considered high fashion, and the people that are buying it also agree with that as well? Or also the people that are buying these creations that Balenciaga or these high fashion brands feel that they are making are nice and of quality, other people could just be buying them with the intent to flex on other people. And I'm only introducing this perspective because Balenciaga is Balenciaga because they're Balenciaga. But people are buying Balenciaga now who engage in flex culture because they're Balenciaga. And what I mean by this is Balenciaga has been around for over a century and they have revolutionized women's wear. So I don't want to discredit them in that field. So they have paid their dues, and the fact that they are this high-end fashion brand, it's well deserved because they have paved the way for women's fashion over the past century. However, in the past decade or so, this brand has received a certain level of notoriety and hype due to other celebrities wearing them, like Kanye West and Kim Kardashian, for example. So they have attracted a new consumer base and audience because of these celebrities and the hype that they have been receiving in the more recent years. So I wonder if Balenciaga and just these high-end luxury brands in general are creating fashion and intentionally designing pieces with the intent to just create nice things and fashion, or if they are aware of the hype and notoriety that they are receiving, and if they are catering to their new audience, which are people who engage in flex culture. Because people who do engage in flex culture do have a particular aesthetic. And honestly, the whole concept of aesthetics in general really interests me, because of course, if you are active on TikTok, or if you've just been active even since the Tumblr days, aesthetics are nothing new. They come in and go, and it seems like there's always a new aesthetic on the rise. As of right now, we currently have the clean girl aesthetic, which is very reminiscent of like the minimal makeup aesthetic. I mean, I don't like clean girl, but that's just me. But I do want to quickly talk about aesthetics, because in my opinion, I feel like they're limiting people's self-expression and authenticity. But I saw this article and I just thought it was so good. So in this article, they do define where the term aesthetics come from. It is a form of philosophy when you're looking at beauty and art. So that is the original term of aesthetics. But of course that has evolved into what people consider aesthetics now in reference to social media. And so she goes on to say that, quote, before the word was adopted into its current context, aesthetics concerned the area of philosophy that dealt with beauty, art, and taste, as well as the creation and appreciation of beauty in the world. Theories of aesthetics changed throughout history, shaped by influencers such as Sanskrit texts, Confucius, Immanuel Kant, Oscar Wilde, and mathematics. Philosophers dig deep, discussing things like the influence of the viewer of art in creating art's meaning, or whether beauty can be considered subjective or a human truth. Despite its complexity, grappling with the immense, hard to wrap your head around questions of the roles of beauty, art, and taste in society has somewhat been reduced to a term used to describe the superficial. We look at the uniform filters of someone's Instagram profile and claim that they have a quote-unquote great aesthetic. Even more, we quote like one of those carefully filtered pictures showing a row of succulents on a windowsill that is a harmonious follow-up to a photo of a beautiful beach landscape, filtered exactly the same. We give people aesthetics, weaving oversized frames, mom jeans, and white sneakers together into someone's identity. In this way, aesthetic has gone from a nebulous philosophical subject open to many interpretations to a fixed, one-dimensional identity derived from surface-level observations. Tumblr blogs, room decor, outfits, if there's no clear aesthetic, it's not perceived as beautiful or meaningful. The concept of aesthetic is supposed to be about creativity and unique identity, applying the traditional idea of the underlying themes and principles of artists or art movements in the ways people choose to express themselves. It is about the things you find beautiful and choose to incorporate into your life as a way to represent who you are to others. The problem is, aesthetic has become more creatively binding than liberating. In focusing so heavily on fitting a superficial theme, we have begun to rigidly curate our lives, consciously or unconsciously. Think about the times you've second-guessed an Instagram post that may not, quote, fit your feed, or have decided not to buy an item of clothing because it doesn't work with your look. We curate in response to the proliferation of aesthetic on social media and the pressure to conform to a specific identity. What would happen if we stopped overanalyzing how we express ourselves? What if we chose to disregard superficial constraints and instead embrace the eclectic nature of our unique creativity and identity? Aesthetics is something we cling to in lieu of revealing our true selves and stepping away from group identities. The fact is, true creativity, authentic art, and veritable beauty don't come with concrete formulas. And I just thought that that article was a perfect way to wrap up this video, because I just feel like in a way it's limiting your authenticity and the levels in which you can creatively express yourself. Because you may like something from a specific aesthetic, but what if you also like the style or the makeup from another aesthetic? I don't know, it's so many people who have built platforms and careers off of sticking to a certain aesthetic, and I always wonder if they genuinely are doing that because they like it. Because I just feel like, I don't know, me, I would find it really boring if you dress the same way and follow the same aesthetic, like to the T, 100% of the time. And I don't think that is anything wrong with following trends, because I feel like if you exist in this age of social media and aesthetics in general, like you're kind of in a way like somewhat get wrapped into it if you're not careful. But I don't feel like it's anything following trends, but I do think it is such a boring way to live your life when your entire life is built around a specific theme. It's like these trends come in and out of style, which is normal, that's why they're trends, but it's like people will make it their whole personality and their whole in their entire being, in the entire way that they choose to express themselves creatively. I think that the key in life and the key to finding joy is to express yourself authentically, because when you're being your truest self, you attract other people that genuinely like your truest self. So if you're always subscribing to what's trendy and shaping your life around that, like, that just doesn't seem like a sustainable way to live a happy life and a fulfilling life, in my opinion. And when I say expressing yourself authentically and self-expression, that can mean different things for different people. So that very well could mean you just wearing Hollister jeans and a white t-shirt every day, or that can mean that you have on the craziest shoes and the wildest makeup, or somewhere in between. But just do it because you want to do it, because you actually like it, not because this is what's trendy. But I don't know, I feel like everybody should do them and express themselves authentically, regardless of what's trendy or not, and regardless of what that may look like to other people, as long as you're not offending others. And I feel like it would be healthy to always question the motive behind why you're posting or engaging with something online. Is it ego or authenticity? But that's all I have to say at the end. I just wanted to have this dialogue about authenticity and self-expression and flex culture. So I hope you guys really like this video. I enjoyed making it. Yeah, be sure to check out my clothing brand, main character the label. This is the Rico top that I'm wearing, and my makeup brand, Box Office Beauty. And yeah, I hope you guys feel safe and seen wherever you are, and I hope you guys are finding joy and fulfillment on your journey of self-expression. Until next time.